This is the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, where we interview conservationists, hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the greatest stories, information, and advice from the best in the world. I don't know about you, but I always carry a knife. It doesn't matter what the situation is, I'm always reaching for a blade. Whether I'm out hunting in the backwoods, fishing on lakes and rivers, or simply cutting rope at camp, and when I need a tool, I want something that's quality, durable, and handmade right here in the USA. I know that's something you're looking for as well, so go to maloneknives.com and get yourself something that's going to last and look damn good too. I'm a huge fanatic for handmade, high-quality leather and canvas products. In my opinion, they last longer, hold up better to the abuses of travel, and honestly, they just look really cool. That's why I use Badger Claw Outfitters. They've been making handcrafted products for hunting, camping, and travel since 2011, and that's right up my alley. Best part is they're made right here in the USA and are guaranteed for life. They've got everything from gun leather, belts, custom knife sheaths, wallets, duffel bags, leather and canvas pouches, everyday carry items, and more. Badger Claw Outfitters, made in the USA, built for the wild. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. Today, I'm talking about something that is really something that I've focused on for probably the last 12 to 15 years of my life. Something that I learned before going to college that I just kind of reinforced over the years is that you don't need a lot to get started in whatever you're doing. You just got to dive in head first. And, you know, that's kind of the metaphor that I used to use when I was giving presentations and stuff all the time after I thru-hiked the Appalachian Trail was jumping off the cliff and knowing that you're going to land in the water. I mean, it doesn't always work out, but you can't be scared to take that initial leap. And I think I talk a lot about, you know, how I personally think being obsessed with gear is just a huge waste of time. Yes, you want gear that's going to hold up and serve you well when you're doing stuff, but I would seriously say that probably 80% of the time, it really doesn't matter. What matters is continually learning and overriding that sense of fear when it's time to do something different or new. And, you know, that's just something you just learn by putting in the reps. And that kind of is the main point that I wanted to get to today is it's not always about being the best or looking the best or appear like giving the appearance that you're the best. It's literally just doing the work. A lot of people get frozen in that initial step of taking that leap, which is usually the hardest part. For me, when I started hunting, I was terrified. And I've told this story maybe in the past on podcast episodes. I was so nervous the first time that I went hunting that I literally had to take a shit in the woods in the middle of winter. I was not prepared for that at all. It was a pretty embarrassing situation, but I was so worked up. That's how seriously I took hunting. That's how serious I take it today. And it's like that, when I've just been through that scenario. When I stepped my first foot on the Appalachian Trail, I was terrified. Same amount of nerves, left for 6 months to fend for myself. And I think you just have to accept that going into something new and not focus on all of the things that are taking away from what you're doing, like focusing and nitpicking on gear, not focusing and nitpicking on what could happen. You don't know what's going to happen. Things aren't going to work out how you think they are at all. And a lot of time people spend nitpicking on gear because it's just like a nervous reaction to feeling unprepared. And the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is to research, read. You can watch YouTube videos and stuff too, but I've just found for me reading works better because people are able to give a lot more concise detail or in-depth detail on the topics, and you can focus in on what they're what the things that you're most nervous about. Whereas with YouTube videos, I get a lot out of YouTube videos when it comes to like techniques and stuff, like fly casting or how to do something that I'm new at, just to get a basic grasp on it. But they usually end up being advertisements to try and sell shit. So, I mean, that's not to say they're all like that, but taking that initial leap is always the scariest part. And then you kind of just learn as you go what's important, what's not important. But I think that initial step is what's hard for most people. It's still hard for me anytime I do something new. It's still incredibly difficult, but you just kind of get this sense of like, okay, I've done this before. I've jumped off this cliff. It's going to be okay. I just need to be patient and be willing to learn. And like, that is the key focus. And like, in the end of the day, yes, I promote reading and researching and reading all the time. But the end of the day, if you don't actually go and do the stuff that you're learning about, it's pretty much just useless knowledge. I mean, I learn the most when I'm doing. I don't learn the most from books. I learn a lot from books. Books are a good starting point for me. Like right now, I'm trying to hope that there's ice this year so I can go up in northern Michigan and ice fish. And I really want to catch a pike. I'm not really concerned with the size of the pike or catching a world record pike. That would be awesome, but I want to catch a pike. And I know that that's the first step. If I get it in, like set in my heart that I want to catch this 40-pound monster or whatever, like this is just setting me up for disappointment. So I'm reading a book on pike habitat, pike, times of the year where they should be during ice season and all of this stuff. But when I go and ice fish, the fact is I still have to do the activity. And like, I can read all this and never go ice fishing. And I have all this knowledge about pike that'll be lost in a few months if I don't use it. So it's like, go and do. Even if you're nervous, even if you're new, like everyone's new to most things they're doing. If you want to trail run, I started trail running. The most I'd ever run was 3 miles. And I just did a 10-mile race. I was nervous to do the 10-mile race because I've never run 10 miles. Took 2.5 hours almost. And it's just like, doing it is what's important. Doing it is where you're going to learn the lessons. Now, since I've broken that 10-mile barrier on the trail running, whatever, I'm not as intimidated. Say like, oh, well, a half marathon's 13 something or whatever. Not intimidated by that at all anymore. Because I know I did it. Like, and worst case, and this is the problem I think a lot of people have too, is they're so concerned with failing and like looking stupid, quote unquote. Like that is not a concern that you should have, because like a lot of people out there don't know what they're doing. A lot of people in anything are just figuring out in real time like you. Like they have more experience. They have more, say, hunting experience than you. They have more time on the water, and they're more successful more often because they do. And that's why, I feel like nervous or embarrassed occasionally, but that just comes with part of it. Of course, if you go out with guys that have been doing it their whole life, they're going to razz you. That's just part of being a person. Like you're going to get some shit from people because you're the new guy. But you can't take that personally. Like it's just part of being in the outdoors, especially in like very male-oriented stuff like hunting and fishing and stuff. Like you're gonna get shit. It's how it is. But those people all started at some point too and sucked. And I really want to encourage people to get outside of that comfort zone, because that's where you learn the most.
Life is hard, and we're out here doing larger-than-life things, whether it's pushing ourselves physically in the outdoors or mentally at work or in the podcast studio. Absolute Aid is here to help you focus, recover, and stay calm during your most intense moments. Absolute Aid, created by nature, made with science, for those who seek to do more.
Even with this whole hunting season has been an extreme learning experience for me, because although I have not got a deer, I still have, a little bit of time left. I've observed a lot of deer, and it's important to watch what they're doing and learn from them, because like you can read all you want about what deer are going to do in a book, but when you're out there in the field doing the activity of hunting, they're doing what they're naturally doing. A book can't show you that. And that's what's really important. Do. Don't think so much. I mean, I spend a lot of time thinking about stuff because I read a lot and I'm doing stuff a lot. Like a lot of my free time is spent in the outdoors doing outdoors activities, but I don't like think about on the way to going to go run or squirrel hunt for the first time. I'm not like wrapped around my head, but like, what if this? I'm just like going there. I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook or, thinking about stuff that I've read in the past. Like maybe they'll be doing this time of the day, or maybe I'm going to try this new call or whatever. Like you're not always going to be successful, but that's an important part of learning. And fear keeps so many people back from doing what they want to do. And, it's hard because, especially in the society we live in, American society, we have this pressure to like, because of whatever, social media, because of whatever you want to say, whatever the excuse is, that everyone else always has these perfect lives and everything looks so damn awesome and they make it look so easy. And that's just not how things work. It's like, I can't stress that enough. Like, you only see, like, and even on my social media, you're only seeing all the times that I'm successful in what I'm doing. I'm not, like, nobody wants to watch a video like, oh shit, I didn't catch anything. What a boring video. And it's just like, you're not successful all the time. The best example of this that I can think of personally is the very first Hunt Fish podcast summit I went to 2 years ago. And I am surrounded by people who have been hunting a very long time. I mean, there are television show hosts, there's rock stars, there's people who work in conservation, there's hunting journalists and, outdoors writers. There are, me, I'm new. I had never turkey hunted up to that point. There's the guy who owns the ranch who's been doing this his whole life, essentially. There are all these people, this breadth of knowledge in this building that I'm surrounded by, and I am incredibly nervous. I don't want to look stupid in front of these people. I run a freaking outdoors podcast. That doesn't make much sense. But like, we go out there, we spend 4 days hunting turkeys hard. Every morning we're up before sun. We're sitting until maybe 1 p.m, coming in for a short break, going back out to the blind from 3 p.m. till dark. I mean, we're hunting. And, I'm paired up with someone who's been an insanely successful turkey hunter. Not a single person at the podcast summit got a turkey that year. Not a single person. There was a few close calls. I saw a male turkey, which is more than most people said they did. And it's just like, you can't assume that everything's always going to be successful. And that really changed my perspective. That moment, a lot of other, personal failures that I've had have also kind of awakened me to that. But that moment at that podcast summit was over and we all went home skunked. That was really when my mind started to change on like, you just have to go do stuff and learn as much as you can, but spend as much time in the field as you can. And you're way more likely to be successful just by putting in hours. And like, even people who are obsessive turkey hunters did not get a turkey. And that's hunting. And like it's the most cliche thing ever. And you've all heard it a million times if you do anything like that. They say it's called hunting, not killing. And that it just stuck with me because it made so much sense in that moment. And if you're listening to this or watching this, I want you to like realize that that's how it is from someone who does this all the time. That's all I do in my life is it's dedicated to outdoors. It's learning about the outdoors, talking about the outdoors, fishing, hunting, any recreational activities, backpacking, kayaking, all this stuff. It's just like all I care about. I don't, go to the movies. I don't watch TV unless it's like YouTube videos on how to get better at hunting and fishing. And like, I'm not saying that I'm great at this either. It's like I have this inherent like need to learn and push and learn and push and learn and push because I do want to be more successful at it. It's just a very difficult thing. And like, I would assume a lot of people are in this realm of they like to do a lot of different things. And there are also people who are very oriented on like one species. They hunt only deer and they're very good at it. So I know I have to work 10 times as hard because I want to hunt it all. I want to fish for everything. and I have to spend a lot of time learning about all these individual animals and fish because like there's so much to learn, and I'm not spending all my time focusing on one thing, but I want to enjoy the outdoors year round. And like I think it's possible for everyone to be pretty well versed in a lot of things, but you just have to go out and do them. I can't tell you how many hours I sat in a kayak by myself in the middle of lakes just trying to figure out how to catch bass. That was my goal for the whole year. I wanted to catch bass. I wanted to catch crappie. I ended up catching, personal bests in both of them because I just spent so many hours. I mean, on the weekends, I was probably fishing 6-7 hours a day. And then on the weekdays, if I had 2 hours after work or something, I'd probably go out 2-3 times a week. And it's just like, I made a couple YouTube videos, but I mean, the amount of time that I spent out there was insane. And it's like, if you want to be good at stuff at a level that's like world class, which again, I'm not saying that I am. I'm saying if you want to, if that's your aspiration, you can't have a well-balanced life. I mean, you got to be out there doing this stuff. And that's something I've learned from professionals who I've worked with. I mean, some of the best hunters who've been hunting for decades and decades have told me this. Like, that is why I want to relate it to you. It's like, even these pros know that you have to put in tons of hours and work. I mean, these people obsess about every season. They understand habitat, where an animal's going to be, how, like, what hours of the day they're likely to be out, what they're going to be eating, where they're going to be bedding, all of this stuff that you just can't learn without observation and just going out there and looking and finding and studying this obsessively. And you, like, not to say you have to, but if you want to be more successful, that's what it takes. So, like, to summarize, what I'm saying is you have to be able to first off take that jump off the cliff. We use hunting as an example because it's what I'm doing right now. Go buy a shotgun. If you don't have a hand-me-down, you can't borrow one, go buy a shotgun. Take that leap. You have the shotgun, whatever, you're ready to go. Pretty much all you need for any sort of deer hunting. I mean, at close range, unless you're out west or something, you're shooting hundreds of yards. I mean, go get the bare necessities. Get, a shotgun, get whatever you need to make sure your clothes are unscented, whatever. Go sit in the woods. It's going to be cold. It's going to be boring. It's going to be whatever. But once you get over that hurdle and you know what to expect, you're going to be set up, and then just keep doing it. It's going to feel monotonous. It's going to feel like a pain in the ass. Find a place, go there, hunt your ass off. You could go a whole season without getting anything. You get something on your first day. It's a lot of luck at the beginning because you just really don't know what you're doing. But then you do that for enough time. I mean, I've been doing that for 6 years almost now. And it's like, okay, I'm just now starting to really understand more about, like, say, deer, for instance. When I started, I didn't know anything about deer. I'm still learning things like how wind affects them or what they're likely to do in certain scenarios because I spend so much time out there. So you gotta spend that time observing, and then read as much as you can. Read as many books as you can find on deer. I mean, it can't hurt to know more. And then, like, that's it. That's all you can do. That's all in your control. The ability to go when you can, the ability to put in the hours, the ability to, study and learn. You're going to be more successful. I don't remember the exact statistics or if it's even a real statistic, but a lot of the stuff that I've heard is like a very small percentage of successful hunters get more animals than 99% of the rest of them, just because they are that obsessed, they are that skilled, and they are, that understanding of how things work. So it's like, if you want to be in that 1%, you got to work your ass off. If you're fine being in that other 99% where you're, you get a deer every couple of years, or you go to a property that's managed, somebody, and you get a deer every year, like, that's great. That's totally fine. But if you want to be able to go anywhere and do anything, you got to put in the time and the effort. And, a book, I'll leave you with this, a book that really impacted me that I just read when I was very, very much younger than I am now. I was probably 17 or 18. There's a book called Talent is Overrated. I haven't read it in probably a decade, but it's basically saying, like, you don't have this inherent natural talent. Nobody does. I mean, some people are more inclined to do certain things, but they're saying it's all about basically the 10,000 hour rule. You put in 10,000 hours at something, you're going to be one of the best at that, like world class, because that's what it takes. Time and effort, time and effort, time and effort. So I'll leave you with that. Put in the time, put in the effort, and it's going to be a slow, long grind, but you'll eventually get really good at it, and then people will be coming to you for advice. So I hope that helps you guys, and I hope you're having an awesome year, and I'm going to ask you again for the millionth time, please subscribe to the Aptitude Outdoors YouTube channel. I actually have 2 YouTube channels. I know that's confusing, but they're separate. One is just for this podcast. The other one is for all of my mini docs, my travel videos, my hunting and fishing videos. Anything that I've ever made is going on that channel from now on to keep them completely separate for reasons that nobody cares about. And then if you could leave a rating on iTunes, please help me out there. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I hope you guys are all, doing the best you can to push yourself to learn to be better. So I'll leave you on that note. See you guys next week with another episode.